Basic elements of C++. Objectives. In this lecture, you will become familiar with the basic components of a C++ program, including functions, special symbols, and identifiers in C++. Explore simple data types, assignment statements, variable declarations. A computer program is simply a sequence of statements whose objective is to accomplish a task. Programming is the process of planning and creating a program using a sequence of statements. For example, a recipe for cooking. Think about baking a cake. We can use a sequence of steps: add eggs, add flour, add butter, add oil, mix, bake, etc. to create a finished product. Let's look at a simple program to compute and output the perimeter and area of a triangle. At the top, we see our comment section. It is very important as a programmer to always comment your code, not only so you will remember what you wrote, but also to allow programmers that come behind you to be able to understand your code. Walking through the program, we have our variables to store information: length, width, area, and perimeter. Here, we use an output statement to write a statement to the screen to let the user know the intent of our program. Next, we set up our constant length. We set up our constant width along with our formulas for area and perimeter. Finally, we use output statements to display the length, width, calculation of the area and perimeter. In our programs, we have variables. A variable is a memory location whose contents can be changed. For example, we can store the value 6.0 in the variable length. We store the value 4.0 in the variable width. We multiply length times width and store that result in the variable area. If we were to run our program, we can see our code in action. First, we have the statement of what the program will do. Next, we have the displaying of the constant variables length and width, followed by the results of our calculation for the perimeter and area. The basics of a C++ program. C++ programs consist of functions or subprograms, which are a collection of executable statements. Syntax rules, which are rules that specify which statements are legal or valid. Semantic rules, which determine the meaning of the instructions, and programming language, which is a set of rules, symbols, and special words. Comments in a program are for the programmer and not to be used by the compiler of the program. We can comment our programs in two ways. One, using two forward slashes to comment a single line in our program, or a forward slash followed by an asterisk if we want to write several lines. Special symbols. These are some special symbols that we can use in our programs. For example, a plus for addition, a minus for subtraction, greater than equal sign for comparisons, etc. It is important to note that in a C++ program, there are several reserved words which cannot be redefined in a program or used by anything else other than their intended purpose. Such examples include int for integer, float for floating numbers, char for character numbers, and the word return. An identifier in C++ consists of letters, digits, and the underscore character, and must begin with a letter or underscore. Remember, C++ is case sensitive. For example, capital variable number is not the same as lowercase variable number. Let's look at a few examples of legal and illegal identifiers in C. We can see that identifiers first, conversion, and pay rate adhere to the rules of identifiers we previously discussed. Table 2.1 shows some examples of illegal identifiers. Example, employee salary. This is illegal because there cannot be a space in the identifier. Hello with an exclamation mark. This is illegal because an exclamation mark cannot be used in an identifier. Data types are a set of values coupled together with a set of operations and fall into three categories. They are simple data types, structured data types, and pointers. Looking a little more closely at a simple data type, we see there are three categories. Integral, which are integers, numbers without a decimal. Floating point, which are numbers with decimals. And enumeration types, which are user-defined data types. Declaring variables and assignment statements. When a variable is declared, a data type must always be specified. For example, counter is declared as an integer, grade is declared as a character. When an assignment statement is used, we follow the syntax of variable equals expression. For example, interest rate is equal to 0.05. Our summary. We have learned that C++ programs is a sequence of statements to accomplish a task. A C++ program is a collection of functions, one of which is always called main. Identifiers consist of letters, numbers, and underscores and begin with a letter or underscore. All variables must be declared before used.